to this session of Roof Over Our Heads. We have an amazing hour-packed program today to honor and celebrate the amazing progress of this campaign endorsed by the high-level climate champions in the race to resilience. We are going to get started and get this fired up quickly. We have with us, to start this off, the amazing Sheila Patel, the powerhouse behind Roof Over Our Heads. And we also have Her Excellency Razan Al Mubarak, the UN high-level climate champion for COP28. I think another big round of applause. It's been great to have you as a champion all this year. And there's some amazing people here in the audience. For those of you joining online, I wish you can perceive the energy in the room and the excitement and how we are coming together to connect to a cause that is deep to all of us that care about people in the built environment. And it's the billions of being more visible people that are living in informal settlements all around the world, and that cannot be left behind in any conversation. There's not, as I said in the last year's meeting, and it resounded with some people, and I'll say it again, there will be no Paris Agreement if we allow informal settlements to cover 4 billion people by 2050. That is a failure of humanity and our response in terms of solidarity and resilience and climate change. So without further ado, I just want to hand it over briefly for Sheila also, for a few words, and then she'll introduce Her Excellency Razan. Please, Sheila.
I first of all want this session to be dedicated to Salim. He has been my mentor, my guide, and my support system whenever I wanted to get somewhere, do something. And I want all, people like to go and do silence. I want to celebrate him. I've said to Nate that every year we should have the first session of the Resilience Hub reporting to Salim about what we have done, because that was his relentless pursuit. So let's clap for Salim. And next year, I'm going to ask ICAD to give all of us this badge, because he said, this is Salim's office. He was there, wherever he was, it was his office. You could go and talk to him, and he was like the Buddha who told you some wise things, and you took it away and did all kinds of things. So that's first of all. So this is our reporting after last year. When we came with this amazing idea, you all supported us. You didn't know where we were going, what we were going to do with this concept of living labs, and this ambition to reach out to so many people. And my team and I and all the networks and all of you who have assisted and supported me, I think this is our way of informing you of what we've done this year. And I'm going to ask, okay. So now it depends on how much time you have, Razan, but I know that you don't. I'm seeing faces moving around. So I want to say that in the last 3-4 days, the fact that all past and present champions are making commitment to stay with us forever. So thank you very much. And I want Razan to open and inaugurate and launch our publication that reports on what we've done today after you talk to us a little bit. Come.
Sheila, you're just incredible. And the work that is being done by Roof Over Our Heads is credible, it's authentic, it's real. This support cannot be bought. It can only be strengthened when you have credibility and authenticity. And to that, I raise my champion hat to you. So I am really delighted to join you and extend my gratitude to you, Sheila, for your heartwarming introduction, not just today, but always, and your tribute to Professor Salim Al-Haq. Salim's inspiration behind the Roof Over Our Heads initiative, and compels us to honor his legacy and to work hard and to ensure that everybody has a roof over their heads. And I know that there will be a formal tribute to him in the Algiers room in the Global Climate Action Zone at 2 p.m. today, so please join us. My journey started with you, Sheila, but it actually also started with Professor Salim Al-Haq. It was a virtual dialogue. I never had the privilege of meeting him in person. And Nigel, you know this, when you start the journey with the climate champions, it's so overwhelming. And you're learning about things that you've never been exposed to. And one of those was, sure, I read theoretically what resilience and adaptation meant, but I didn't really know what it means until a virtual moment with the incredible Salim Al-Haq and with you, Sheila. And it was in Bonn. And I was sitting down and I was reading from my notes about adaptation, and I was put to shame again. And that spurred that interest and that, incredible acknowledgement that adaptation is happening every day in informal settlements and are happening with such magnanimous generosity and ingenuity. And whilst it was so perhaps simple to read from notes on what a global adaptation framework could mean, it was really dwarfed by the actual solutions that were being done on the ground. And then I had the opportunity to visit the wonderful Christina here in the audience, and who took that sort of theory, my journey, and personified it with incredible women in the front lines that were not weak, like my notes read. On the contrary, we're strong, we're proud, and we're not asking for the billions that have been announced, but we're asking for basic services, water, land rights. And despite not having those basic services, everybody appeared and was there and was ready to speak and engage. And I am extremely humbled to be part of this journey in any way. And with that, thank you for giving me the opportunity to launch this incredible book. And it is a book of hard labor. It's a book of truth. It's a book that is not theoretical. It is practical and has brought people from all over the world to work together on this. And I would like to ensure that we also thank our partners that have put this book together, Arup, Real, Holysum, and others. So thank you for that. And I would like to invite Sheila, Nihar, Smurti, Christine, Joe, and David for a photo before we celebrate the fruits of this incredible book. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency Razan. Beautiful. Now yes, your notes. Beautiful. I think also in the journey, with supporting Roof Over Our Heads and interacting with the champions and in this pilgrimage to COP every year, but how we've elevated the conversation about informal settlements and putting human faces. I think that's what brings us a little bit of comfort, that we are playing our part, and wherever we are, we can make a difference. So now we continue on with learning more about that amazing book and what's the methodology behind it. So the time is ticking, Sheila. So you'll have to be with Nihar. Please, Nihar, come here with us. And I would like if you could share with us a summary of the work, a high level, so people can understand what did you do. And if you could just pass me a copy of the book, if you may, please. So there's a few copies. It's going to be available online, but it's so beautifully done. It has, beyond the stories of the families of empowerment of women and how this is shaping along, it has all the documents of the building methodologies of every house, the materials, the performance, the carbon future of the home. Imagine this changing. It has so much depth to it. And I'm really excited to be partnering with you guys and understanding better. So, Nihar, you've been also relentless in your commitment from the technical side. So please, if you could share in a few minutes, how did you go about it? How do you document homes and make it technical in informal settlements? And what does that mean for the future of Roof Over Our Heads? Please.
Good morning, everybody. So, first of all, I would like to thank Sheila for giving me this opportunity to work with you, under you. You are a great mentor. I was told that I have to talk on the technical things, and I have 1 year of data compiled here, and I have just 5 minutes to explain in the summary. It's quite a challenge, but I'll try my best. So I think we'll go directly to the slides. Next slides, please. Okay, so everyone has been asking that what is this labs all about? So I'll just spill the beans. The lab is basically an experiment. We call it labs because it is trying to co-produce with the communities the different local solutions, the local mechanisms which people use during the natural disasters. And we are trying to work on building resilient houses, and for which we have been doing a lot of material research. The team has been working on it, and we are trying to say that working with communities, the local people know the solutions. We are not here and not saying that we are here to give you solutions. We are here to co-produce with you the solutions by identifying different materials which are already being used by the communities, the local artisans which are expert in making these houses. We are here to technically give our technical expertise on how we can do it better and how do we do it with the communities. In summary, we have conducted 9 labs across 5 states of India, and we have intervened with 17 settlements and 68 households. Next slide, please. Next, please. So the whole lab translates into this. So where we have tried to break down one household into different materials with respect to roof, wall, structure, and floor. You can see there are different parameters here. I'll not go into detail, but we have done some analysis with respect to the thermal conductivity, shelf life of the material, the durability, how often people have to invest in the maintenance of the materials, because not necessarily it's bought first hand, because when we're talking informal settlements, they have to buy material which are second hand, which are locally available, and there's the whole market of it. We have tried to identify that as well. And we have incrementally identified that how people have to incrementally upgrade their houses over the time, where they spend a lot of money. So I would like to quote here, and this is personally what I believe, that in this journey, what I have understood is incremental upgrading needs for the planning in advance for the future expenses that people need to invest in the houses, like repairing, the maintenance cost. Next, please. This is again, the next, please. Yeah. So in short, we have identified that in one house, there are more than 20 materials which are used for the construction. And again, and we have compared it with different parameters like shelf life, etc. And we have tried to identify, in the end, by doing the indexes and by rating these materials, and we've tried to identify eventually which material is used and can be used for this housing based on the 5 principles of the campaign, that is adaptability, affordability, accessibility, etc. Next, please. So we'd like to, so we've been working hard, and I think there's no time to rest because there are many things in pipeline. We are working on developing a dashboard which will connect communities with the materials where people can buy. The dashboard will tell us that how much money one need to invest when you're talking about the existing materials versus the materials which are more climate resilient. So that is the dashboard in process. We, after 9 labs, we are working on developing 100 labs globally. We'll be focusing on Africa and Manila in the next phase. And we will be conducting training of trainers where the methodology we had developed for this process, which can be upscaled, which can be shared with different people, with our community leaders working globally. And we'll be, of course, fundraising for the next phases. And globally, we are looking to collaborate with different partners. We have already so many partners working with us. And with this, I would like to thank you and hand the stage over to Sheila. Thank you so much.
All right. So thank you. I'm going to invite you to step down, and I'm going to invite some now roof over our head partners, and we have to get going because I'm getting messages of people having to also run to next thing, so we'll keep it, but the inspiration in terms of a conversation now with the key roof over our heads partners. And with that, I just want to start and ask you to come forward, please. Christine, if you can, Christine, come forward. Aditya Thakur. Yes, Christine. Miss, please, if you could join us and sit. And Cedric, please come forward. And I think that's the people I need. So we have some 10 minutes to be in conversation around your experience and contributions as being partners of Roof Over Our Heads. And I would like to start with Aditya on your reflections on so far in this experience. And if you three, there's not one microphone per person, if you could just pass it, it would be great. And there's no prearranged questions. This is speaking from the heart, not from here, because the topic has to flow from here. So let's start with you, please, Dr. Aditya Thakur.
Hello.
No,
Thank you. Firstly, it's a pleasure being here at the COP, and of course, Sheila ji, thank you for having us here. I think you've touched upon a very, very important issue, roof over our heads, because, especially for countries and states and cities like ours, where we come from, India and Maharashtra and Mumbai. Obviously, Mumbai being the hub of a huge economic and political activity, you've got a lot of floating population coming into our city daily, in and out, traveling in, moving out. You also have a huge population, almost 50% of the population, which is trying to stay in different layers of our city. If you try to layer our city in terms of the housing sector, we have, of course, high-rise buildings, the tallest buildings, some mansions, bungalows, and housing societies, but you also have different types of informal homes and semi-formal homes. Semi-formal is a word I use because these are homes which are sort of about easily 90 to 100 years old, wanting to be renovated, lot of new technology missing out there, right from cooling, heating, water capturing technology to recycling technology. Toilets are shared between about 20 or 30 odd families on a single floor. So these are what we call the chawls. Then you have the slums, which are the informal homes, which are made of tin or plastic sheets or materials that are not really what we call pakka and kacha. So, pakka is obviously firm and kacha is not really firm. So these are the words that we use in our own terminology back home. I think what is very crucial is when we look at these sectors, especially in cities like Mumbai, we had done a heat mapping of Mumbai with the WRI. And we saw that places which have informal homes with tin roofs, plastic roofs, these are the places where heat is actually more reflected than the formal home sector. The buildings where you have greenery around, where you have parks around. But the informal homes, be it sectors like Dharavi or Jizamata Nagar in my own constituency where I am elected from, these are places where you have dense housing, where you have hardly any availability of formal toilets, and you have hardly any availability of sanitation in terms of taking the water back to where it's supposed to go, get recycled, and come back into the system. I think what we face here is not just an issue of climate. It's about a standard of living. It's about urbanization. It's about the densification of our urban cities. And where we have densification of urban cities with informal homes, what we've come to realize is the biggest cut open that we faced during COVID times was approaching people in these areas, trying to get them into safer measures, trying to get them isolated. And the same is with climate change. Over the past 2-3 years, we've seen urban flooding increase. We've seen storms. We've seen heat waves. The problem is, how do you protect these people from informal homes? How do you get them a roof over their head, which is not just a roof, but actually a roof which is climate resilient, which is adapting to our most recent requirements? And that is where the biggest question really lies. And that's where I think your study comes handy, because this is something I'm going to use when I go back home as probably a menu card that should be there. Because one of the small examples I'll give you, in Dharavi, which is one of Mumbai's largest slums, we partnered with several agencies and we've created a common toilet with about 110 seats for men and women. Not just a toilet, we have a laundromat where water is recycled. Otherwise, you imagine thousands of people, hundreds and thousands of people actually using their own laundry to wash the clothes, the water going waste. You have different areas where babies are not really cared for in terms of the heat waves that they face. So all of these places, if we can actually gentrify them, if we can get them into a cluster, get them redeveloped. And about 20 years ago, my grandfather started this slum rehabilitation movement in Mumbai. And I think you were a part of it. Yes. So Sheila ji was a part of it. And I think the entire aim was to move people, move what we call traditionally migrants, but now it's floating population. They're a part of our city, I think move them into formal homes and protect them from not just the dangers of climate, but social dangers that, bear upon them really heavy. So that's, I think, really important. And that's really why I think this is a very important cause. Thank you.
Thank you. And in that conversation, it's just, how would you react to his remarks? What's your perspective on the importance of this sort of a publication that we're launching today that you were involved with?
Okay, thank you. My name is Christine Mwelu.
Yes, please.
I come from Nairobi. I live in Mukuru, an informal settlement whereby I'm leading the women about a roof over my head. I want everyone to know that you need a roof. But we as women who are living in the informal settlement, we don't have good roofs. We have a roof of iron sheet. We have iron sheet and we have other roofs from wood, plastics, and these roofs are not comfortable for the women. When we talk about climate change, we find that it is very hot in our country, and you cannot live inside that house when it is nighttime. You know that women, we have small babies, and the small baby needs somewhere whereby it is cool enough for the baby to enjoy the sleep. But when I talk about the roof that we have, the baby cannot sleep inside the house. We need to take the baby outside. Is there security for that baby outside? No, it is sawdust because my informal settlement is so congested. We have no trees to bring fresh air inside the informal settlement. Now we have many challenges. We have a challenge of wind. coming and taking away our roofs. You are there inside the house, living with your children. Maybe you were cooking. There the wind comes, blows away the roof. Where are you going to start as a woman? You're just going to grab your children, bring them near your chest, wait what will come next. Sometimes people are injured by our roofs. Sometimes our roofs are used so badly. People just throw waste on top of it. When it starts raining, it is leaking. Where are we going? Every kind of person needs to sleep well, whereby there is no the interference of water. Then we run away, and our children comes and grabs the mom, asking, Mom, what are we going to do next? It is raining. Not about the dad. The dad will just stand and say, oh, what are we going to do? But the mom will just grab our children and say, yes, I know what we are going to do. I said we as women, we cannot keep quiet. We have to change our roofs. We have to talk with the owners of these roofs and tell them we need better houses. That's why I'm doing the advocacy and bringing many women in the informal settlements, whereby I have reached more than thousands and thousands of women in different settlements in Nairobi, in Nakuru, in Naivasha, telling every woman that you need a better roof. You don't need to keep quiet, because a change comes when you talk about it. We don't want people to talk about it. It is we people, or we women, who are living in that kind of informal settlement, who are facing the reality of life through water, through sanitation, poor electricity, whereby we can live for 1 full week without electricity, without water. For how long are we going to live in this kind of a situation? It is for the women to stand up and say enough is enough. And through roof of our heads is giving us this chance for women to speak their issues and for the difference that we want to make in our informal settlements. Also, we want land. For example, where I come from, the land is not ours. It is for an individual. We have pushed our government, the first time in the world, for the government to declare a place to be a special planning area. It was done in Kenya through the effort of women. Thank you. Yes, through the effort of women. We said that eviction is taking us day after day. We are evicted. There is no notice that you're going to be evicted. We are losing our properties day after day. We collected data to make sure that the government has no way to say, you don't live here. We collected good pictures. We documented our areas, and we went to the government and told them, this is the kind of a life that we are living. We need good services because we are citizens of this country. What do I say? Women should not keep quiet. Women should speak out for their changes to come. Thank you so much.
You've put a voice to roof over our heads, and that is so amazing. We see you and we honor you. Very grateful. Thank you. And it's a change of pace here. It's weird, and I think we're also here leveling the floor under our feet. We are in the same floor. We say it's not one over the other. It's the same roof over everyone. Aditya, I will just ask you if we can change the panelists, if you could just have Christine take your place. Christine, Sandrine. I'm with Christine. Okay, I am, Christine. Right? Exactly. Amazing. Thank you. Please join us. And you can stay. I'm keeping you. But I'm going to go over to Sandrine and Cedric. No, Cedric, because he's been patient and he now heard this, and I want to see what he has to say. So it's a collaborative of putting ourselves in the same floor, in the same conversation, and hearing and seeing us. So Cedric, you've been involved in this campaign from Wholesome for over now a year. Please share with us what has been your experience and what do you see the future of your involvement in this campaign?
Thank you, Christina. First of all, I feel very humbled to be sitting here. And it's totally genuine because I didn't know I would be sitting here. I work for Holcim, so we're a different kind of partner. I work for Holcim. Holcim is a provider of construction materials and construction solutions. We are working with Roof Over Head, not for philanthropic reasons. We are working with you to help finding solutions that respond to the needs that you have described. Yes. And how do we make them available at scale, at pace, affordably? That's the reason why we have joined wholeheartedly this campaign. It's not just about roofing materials. It's about road stabilization. It's about using materials in different parts of the world where you can use materials to actually make a thermal battery, to transform the house and make them more resilient. It's about, for us, it's also about understanding what the need is, because this is not our core activity. So what we've done with Sheila, she took us by the hand and we went to Melilla with a bunch of engineers to do kind of a workshop and really go on the ground to understand what is the current need, what does it look like, how do we bring the materials, what is actually doable. And one of the specificity of this collaboration is that we do that with our business on the ground. As I said, the aim is not philanthropic. The aim is to be able to address the need of those populations and those environments and make solutions available in an affordable way and deploy them at scale. And here, scale and pace, I think, is the priority. In honest truth, we're learning. We're at the very beginning of this collaboration. As I said, this is not where we usually operate, so we're learning together. We have lots of things in our bags that we would like to deploy, and I think the collaboration is very at the very beginning. Very good. So this was experimental. I think we have not yet reached the conclusions of how we're going to do it. It's not an easy task because of the scale of the problem. But this is the kind of exercise, we have expertise, we have engineers, we have materials available. How do we bring it there? So that's the spirit of the partnership.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, Cedric, it's prerogative of the moderator. Could you please step down? Thank you. And Nigel, could you please come here? And I'm reading here, there's a Mentimeter we can run for questions if you have it. If not, we'll keep on going. All right. I think we're all Christine today, right? We're changing our names, right? Christine. Okay, you're all in the same club. We're all in the same beautiful club. So we were last year here with Salim having this conversation, and we also have had some amazing people backing up Roof Over Heads in particular. Again, big shout out to the high-level climate champions, Race to Resilience, pulling this forward. It's like passing the Christine microphone, the baton, we're all in it. So I just want to give it to Sandrine and to Nigel in conversation with Christine, the reflections on what's next, what's next for you? How do you see this going?
Thank you. So on behalf of the Christine Club and the Sheila Club and the Salim Club, first of all, I think that the first thing that we're all realizing is that this club is about being a force of nature. It's about, as you so rightly said, acting with our hearts, but ensuring change with our voices and our actions. And so within that, and having worked with Salim for 2.5 years, actually, during the UN Food Systems Summit on Resilience, in particular with frontline women who were not only ensuring that they were bringing food, but healthy food to their families, but also within crisis zones, who all showed that act of courage, but also of love and solidarity. I think it's very important, and my reflection comes from a meeting very different from this one in the Vatican with Sheila, where we were called upon to look at new urban planning, and where one of the analogies that was given to us by one of our African colleagues was that we need to understand that a city is like the blood in our system. It's continuously circular, it's pulsating, and it gives us life. And therefore, within that context, we need to understand that all our cities need to be built for resilience. And as you so rightly said, Christina, it's not only the roof on our heads, but it's the floor under our feet. It's also the realization that every single one of us, including myself, who currently has a very luxurious roof in Belgium, which is wet all the time, so I do need it as well, could become a refugee, could one day not have a roof over my head. And realize that therefore the purpose of this meeting and so many other meetings around RU and the support that we will give is that we need to make every single inhabitant understand that they are as vulnerable as the most vulnerable link. And therefore, we need to work together to ensure that we all protect our basic services, that we ensure that women are given that voice and are given the ownership, not only of their homes, but also of the materials that they need to construct the homes that will protect themselves and their families, but also the ownership of the land. And that is an issue that came from many of those frontline farmers across the globe. So my final offering is the following. As the Club of Rome, we will be setting up actually a high-level advisory board that will work with different cities to bring systems approaches to those cities. And I'm indicating and have already indicated to Sheila that together we will work in order to make sure that RU and all of the services that Sheila and her team bring are integrated into the discussions that we have with city leaders. The other offering is that we've just been asked by the Secretary General and the Deputy Secretary General to work through our system dynamic modeling at the Club of Rome, which enables us to understand the social and environmental tipping points that are hitting different regions, and we will be working on Africa and Latin America. And so we should hook up with the hubs and ensure that we bring in the knowledge and the understanding of how we can translate what we see in terms of the systemic interrelationships between social tipping points and environmental tipping points, and how we build the real resilience on the ground. So those are my two offerings and reflections.
Well, first of all, I'm very honored to be Christine for 5 minutes. I mean, everything that I'm thinking right now revolves around the two words, power and love. And first of all, it's lovely, Roseanne explaining how little she knew about adaptation and resilience until this community invited her and started to educate her. David Howlett, who's been the key partner in the Roof Over Our Head and the Race to Resilience Hub, David reminded me earlier that when we first met, when I was early on in my role as a high-level champion, we sat down and I said to him, David, I don't know anything about adaptation and resilience. And David said to me, he thought that was just one of those sort of sneaky questions that someone, or statements that someone makes to hide the fact that they actually know quite a lot, but they're just being sort of falsely humble. But he reminded me, he very quickly learned that actually I didn't know anything about adaptation and resilience. So the first thing I want to say to this whole community is that the love, which, you know, no one better than Salim to represent, to invite people in to travel with you and to help in any way that you can, without not starting with the language of victimhood or blame. So that generosity of love which invites people to travel with you is so important. I think something very, very special about this campaign, and you can see through that. I mean, I talk a lot about radical collaboration, but when you see the mix of partners here, from the leaders of informal communities to vast multinational engineering firms and materials companies, it's really quite remarkable. But I wanted to because you've been talking about power and love, it just reminded me of of a quote from Martin Luther King, which I've just looked up, so I want to share it because I think it's very relevant to your work and to the COP process and to our collective efforts to tackle the climate emergency. Martin Luther King said that power without love is reckless and abusive. And love without power is sentimental and anemic. And if we're honest, we see power without love in interests who refuse to accept the urgency of the crisis and put self-interest ahead of collective interest. But we also see love without power. Whenever we gather in our bubbles to criticize others and enjoy being right when others are wrong, but we don't engage, then we're just being anemically loving ourselves. And what I love so much about this book, about this movement, is that it reflects the second part of the quote from Martin Luther King, where he says, power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. And justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love. So I just want to thank you for this amazing work and for the powerful love that this work represents, and for everybody together standing to correct everything that stands against love. Thank you.
Having a Sheila moment. You're over here and I got distracted. It is about love. It is about empathy. It is around justice, climate justice. It is around bringing that voice to this stage. So I think we have a few minutes also to go over to other partners in the room that have been giving a lot of contributions. And I know you both have to possibly get going. Or you're still Christine? Okay. But you... Yes, please. Let's have a quick photo before Nigel has to go. Yeah, that's why. Oh, you're all right? You're always all right then. All right. Amazing. Okay. So maybe what I'm going to do, the stage is a little bit out, but maybe in that side of the panel, I can invite the following people. Nate Matthews from Global Resilience Partnership. I have also Lucy from Real. Please join us. Yes, please. And the cameramans are going to go crazy. Suranjana Gupta, please, if you can join us there. So she's from the Hyrule Commission. So now we have new energies in the room of partners that have been also contributing to this vision. So I'm gonna give it first over here to Lucy. If you could just, in a brief words, share with us. It's on. If not, I'll give you this. I'll give you this. It's coming. It's all right.
We on?
Yeah. Yes, you are.
On.
Okay, Lucy. So you've heard the dynamic of the conversation, and we know the quality of your work. To roof over our heads in the next few months.
Thanks, Christina. I'm Lucy. Sadly, not Christine today, although I might adopt that. I'm from Real. We work on green, affordable, resilient housing in Africa and Asian cities. I am proud and honoured to have been a part of the work of Slum and Shack Dwellers International, Sheila and her work with Spark in India, for many, many years. I think we have colleagues from the Filipino delegation here. I mean, I went in Manila back in, 2008, and had the privilege of visiting some of the communities there. We know that 95% of the cities most affected by climate change, those on the front line, are in Africa and Asia. The people on the front line within those cities are those in informal settlements. They're the ones most affected. They're the ones who are living this every day. They understand the impact. So Roof Over Our Heads is learning from them, collaborating with them, bringing others around the table. And that is super, super important. It's only by including particularly women who are most affected by this that we can have the solutions that can scale and are fit for purpose. Secure, decent housing really is the ultimate resilience strategy. I'm really, really delighted to announce today that Real is formally backing the Roof Over Our Heads campaign, financially and in the delivery. So that means, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it really, really is an honour, and it's on a whole several years of experience, but also the incredible progress you've made over the last year. So massive congratulations to the ROO campaign. So we will be looking to support future labs and some of this incredible data, further data, working also on the financing side as well. So super excited. Building resilience from within for those really on the front line. So congratulations and thanks for including us in this.
Excellent, thank you. Now, please, Suranjana, same to you. How are you going to contribute to this Christine Club and Roof Over Our Heads?
So I have no expertise in housing or urban work. I belong to the WIRO Commission, and we are a global network. We're a movement that focuses on women's leadership in building more resilient, sustainable, just and equitable communities. So I think I'm just going to offer some reflections on how I see this as an inspiration to our work at the WIRO Commission. I think at COP, I must acknowledge that we are struggling with what does it take to make this discussion on global climate justice relevant to the very local groups, the grassroots women's organizations that we work with, who are struggling every day with hundreds of challenges, of which several emanate from climate justice and are connected to them, but many are not. And so what the Roof Over Our Heads campaign gives us is a methodology for building a movement which is generating a huge amount of knowledge from the ground up, the kind of hyper-local knowledge which governments don't have. The global discussion is very far removed often from local people. There's a general idea of what's going on, the general notion of some challenges, but this kind of highly localized problems, the kinds of materials people are using, the kinds of... So to me, the labs really are about generating this kind of localized knowledge. They're about allowing people to test and analyze what is going on with their housing. And it acknowledges that it is not just one risk that people are taking, have to deal with. There's a whole basket of risks and vulnerabilities around which people are struggling to build resilience. Grassroots women are struggling to have their voice heard. People are struggling are struggling for their livelihoods. People living in highly flood-prone areas don't want to move because they're ready to take the risk of, or they're ready to pay for repairing roofing, but they don't want to be far from their workplace. So there are all these challenges people have to trade off against. And to me, the beauty of this movement is that it is very much located in the idea of transformation. And for me, that transformation requires that technical solutions be embedded in a process by which vulnerable people can build collective power and solidarity. So when I hear about the excitement and the love and the great enthusiasm and joy with which people are coming together and bringing whatever they have to the table, whether it is technical resources or their local grassroots organizations or their NGOs or their policy expertise or their research, is really a way in which many different stakeholders working at many different layers are pooling their knowledge and expertise to build collective power, to build their voice, and then sort of upstream all that knowledge, and not just upstream, but to maybe democratize their knowledge and expertise so that more and more people have choices and options from which to access that which is most appropriate and affordable for them. And the last thing I'm going to say about the book is that, again, the book is one form of knowledge in one format that's going out to people who want a book to read or a brick to throw at somebody. But again, to me, what is exciting in this discussion is that you're generating knowledge in so many different formats and forms, and you're really looking at this idea of, or interrogating the idea of whose knowledge and expertise are we talking about. We have people from Mukuru who are generating their analysis and knowledge. There are thousands of people living in different kinds of homes in Mumbai, in different cities all over the world who have used different kinds of materials. And we are really generating knowledge from them, acknowledging their expertise, and then putting that knowledge out into the world in different forms so different people can access it. So I think my time is up.
Yes, it
So
is.
let me stop.
Thank you so much for your reflections. Thank you so much for your commitment. So we have 2 more interventions on contributions on the future, but I'll start with Dima from Arab. And Nate, I'm going to ask you to wrap us up. So it's going to be even more interesting. So
Thank
Dima,
you.
please.
Thank you so
from
much.
Arab.
I mean, I'm here stepping in on behalf of Nigel Tonks, who had to leave Sheila, and I'm actually reading his notes to you. So first of all, you know, the relationship with you, Sheila, goes back to 2021, where you have worked together to support, where Arab as well has worked with you to support Ruh as a climate champion at the Sharm el-Sheikh adaptation agenda. And separately, Arab is really pleased to be supporting Ruh through our international development team. This year began with a visit to one of the labs in Mumbai, Bandar Port Town, Phase 1. I would say I have been, not to this one, but I've been to Dharavi, so very familiar with the context that you're talking about today. So this has really strengthened our understanding of the challenge facing millions of people who live in these informal settlements and who are the most vulnerable to climate change. This year, we're really looking forward to working with you on Phase 2 and provide the technical support to the organization and the work in Rasulabad in Surat, taking the lab data and applying our technical expertise in climate solutions and climate resilience to attempt to frame priority solutions that expand the resident choices to access lower carbon, more durable materials that improve resilience and the living environment for them. Our aim is to look for solutions that are scalable, not just in India, but in other places, in Africa, in Kenya, and in Asia. So we look forward to continue working with you.
Thank you so much. And now, finally, we have Nathaniel Matthews.
Thank you. It's tough acts to follow, and I'm going to wrap
Yes.
this up in 1 minute because I know we all have to get moving. It's been fantastically articulated how powerful this is, and Sheila and the team have done amazing work on a shoestring budget, which GRP was so proud to support some catalytic funding to in such a short period of time. The latest science tells us that the characteristics of resilience are diversity, redundancy, connectivity, inclusivity, and equity, and adaptive learning. But what I'd like to talk about today is that while these are important, the characteristics of resilience that Salim and Sheila and Christine and all of our friends here in the room embody and really demonstrate every day are trust, and don't let that slip by as a small word, the power of partnerships, endless energy, humor, fierce determination, wisdom, love, heart, surgical wit that enable an inspiring campaign like this to hatch, develop, and grow. So thank you, Sheila, and everyone, and let's make sure this campaign gets some money.
there's many other partners in the room. They're growing by the dozens. So we want to acknowledge you also for being here, and thank you. And thank you for the sweets that you also gave around. And in particular, thank you for showing up. Thank you for keeping this rolling, and in particular for all the partners and the champions. And Christine, thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure, really.
She's our champion.
Yes. Thank you so much. Have a brilliant rest of your day.